So welcome to this session about the Caro-Kann defense. I'm really happy to show you this. So here we are going to try to understand what this defense is about without hopefully swamping you under too many lines. We're going to try to understand the ideas of this defense. So what's the Caro-Kann? Start with e4 and c6 and okay, you might wonder what is going on here, because here white is playing a pawn in the center, but black is not really doing so, okay? The idea is that you want to use that pawn as a support to play a later d5, because indeed, if black plays directly d5, then it's the Scandinavian defense, and it goes e takes d, queen takes, knight c3. You see, this queen gets attacked a lot. And additionally, you don't have a pawn in the center with black, you've lost your d-pawn, so that's not always something you want. So instead, black is trying to support a d5 pawn with the c6 pawn, and it usually goes like that. So e4, then black plays d5, and look, the magic happens. If white takes, then black recaptures with the pawn on d5, which is the main goal of the Caro-Kann. Thank you very much. The second question you might wonder is, why are you supporting that pawn with c6 instead of e6? You might as well do this with e6, and this is the French defense, and it makes a lot of sense. It's a full opening line that is perfectly fine for black, and the main problem with the French defense is that we have this bishop on c8 that is somehow blocked by the e6 pawn. That's the biggest issue in the French defense, really. So the Caro-Kann seems to be doing a very good job of supporting this pawn of d5 while also leaving some room to that bishop so that it can be developed later on f5 or g4. So for instance, after e5, black plays bishop f5, and here black is making the case that, okay, I have a French defense, but better, because my bishop is free to move and it's been developed. It's not blocked anymore under the pawns, okay? On the other hand, of course, after e5, well, black will have to play, or black wants to play c5 sooner or later. And the problem is that it has already moved the pawn to c6, so moving it to c5 then is a waste of time. So you could also make the case that the Caro-Kann is a French defense, but worse, okay? So anyway, that's very interesting, and that's what we're gonna see in this video. So from this position of the Caro-Kann, we're gonna start with the line that has been historically the most played. White plays knight to c3 here. So white simply protects the pawn on e4, and now you might wonder, what is black doing? It's not so easy to find a good move here, because, okay, let's start with the most obvious example. If you don't calculate at all, what you would like to play is knight to f6, because that makes a lot of sense, right? But the problem here is that white is playing e5, knight d7, bishop d3. And here, white is very well developed. And you know what? Black's best move might be e6. And if e6 is the best move here, you know that there's a problem with your position. Because now it's really French defense, but worse. Because you're going to play c5, but you have played c6, so that's clearly a waste of time. And now, I want to ask you a question. Can you play f6 here in order to attack white's pawn center? Take a moment and answer in the quiz box.